Hey, and welcome to the Nuclear Unicorn by Hendyamps video. I am going to try and walk you through the basics of how this unit works, and I'm going to do it while my voice is running through it. And hopefully all of this will make sense. The controls are a little bit screwy because of the names, and honestly, I was trying to make as outrageous of a unit as humanly possible. But what I really wanted to accomplish was I wanted a mic pre that also had a DIN that was fully functional. It had, studio grade everything. And then at the same time, I wanted to turn it into an absolute distortion, crushing monster, synth, guitar, whatever, bass. I wanted to be able to run anything through it, drum loops, etc., and just absolutely crush them, wreck them as much as possible. And so that's pretty much what everything about this unit was aimed at doing. And so without further ado, let's get going with it. So you've got the DI input. You got an XLR input on the back for your microphone. You have a DI unbalanced out. This is an unbalanced 10, by the way. And then you've got your transformer balanced out. So you have Jensen transformers in and out. Like I said, a fully functional mic preamplifier, but it's got 4 gain stages. So you are in the gain territory of some sort of a heavy metal amp if you wanted to absolutely destroy it. Let me go through what each of these knobs and switches do so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. So here we have a pad, and this is the original prototype unit, so this was actually unlabeled. I didn't have this on the outside, and then I thought, wait a minute, someone may need to pad this, so I went ahead and drilled a hole, stuck it in there, and then all future units that are sold will have this labeled as a pad. Right here you have a top boost, kind of like on a guitar amp. If you wanted to really boost the highs and high mids, then this is what this is going to do. Really, really helpful when you go into distortion. You have a low cut, so it's a roll off on the lows. You can kind of hear it on my voice. Check, check, 1, 2. So you can hear how everything below the mid content is really gone. And as we bring it back down, my voice is full again. Okay, so we then have a top crunch. So this crunch, what it does, it's actually diode type distortion. And it's run through a bit of an interesting circuit that really only attacks kind of the highs, not everything else. So as I'm talking, you'll kind of hear what I'm going through here. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check. So you can hear the top part of my voice is distorted, but everything below the mids is really coming through without any kind of effect applied to it. I wanted to have it's actually a combination between a diode and a MOSFET with only affecting the highs and high mids. Very helpful when you have something that's real shrill and you want to tame it. And just kind of crunch the heck out of it up there, but not affect the lower stuff to keep it from getting too muddy. Then you have your gain knob. So this is your initial gain knob. This is the complicated part about the Nuclear Unicorn, other than the labels making no sense, other than just me being an idiot. This is gain 1, gain 2, gain 3, trim. So what that means is that every gain stage is under your control, as well as the trim on the very output. So this gives you an incredible amount of distortion shaping characteristics. And not only that, but when you turn this up and these down to compensate, it sounds different than if you turn this up, this down, this up, or this up, that down. All of them will change the characteristic of the sound of the unit. So it's almost like you have multiple preamps as well as multiple distortion generators. I'll kind of walk you through some of that in a second. You have 2 high cuts. One is more drastic than the other. And the reason for these is not so much for when you're using it as a normal mic pre, because check, 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 check. I mean, it does give you a little bit of a cut. This one doesn't give you much of a cut at all when you're running in regular mode. Check, 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 check. It really doesn't do a whole lot. The reason the switch is in here is whenever you are running heavy distortion and you need just a little bit of a taming of some of the harmonics that have built up, this switch is going to be a lot more handy. This one's a little more drastic. And then you have it's a transformer switch, so you're actually running through an inductor, but it's a transformer-based inductor based upon a choke, which is really odd, really strange, but it gives me an interesting curve, and then I have a way of bypassing the highs, so you get kind of like this weird mid-scoop thing going on. And so that's what that's going to do. And so this knob will control your highs as soon as you engage the transformer circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and engage it. Check, 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 check. So you can see how it really pulled out some of the highs and made it sound kind of scooped in the mid-range area. And then as you roll this off, you'll lose your highs very quickly. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, check. Gets real dark real fast. Check, 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 1, 2. And now we're back to normal. Very, very helpful for a bass guitar and for a lot of other effects. All right, now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and walk you through. This is a clean setting, so if you ever wanted to reference what does a clean setting on a Nuclear Unicorn look like, this is kind of it. But let me show you the different types of sound that you can get through the gain staging here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my trim down a bit. Check, 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 check. Pull my gain up. Check, check. Now I have to be careful not to distort because I'm trying to go for a clean sound. Check, 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 check. Actually, I'm going to pull that down. Pull this one up. Check, 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 check. Pull that down to compensate. All right, you see I'm already starting to distort as it's right here. So I'm either going to pull this one down to compensate. Check, 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 check. Bring my trim back up. Check, check, check. Okay. So I have a little bit more of a present sort of voice sound. My highs are a little bit more articulate than it was. Let's pull this down. Check, 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 check. 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. You can hear how the highs are very articulate with this gain stage in particular. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Let's bring these down even more. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, check. It's a lot of gain, so you'll have some hiss build up if you have a lot of these later stages cranked. It's just a lot of options. Check, 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 1, 2. Test 1, 2. And then I'll go back to normal here. Check, 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 1, 2. You can hear how it's gotten a little bit darker and a little bit more low, mid, heavy. Check, check, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. And then again, just to illustrate. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, 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 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. A lot more present now. So anyway, all that to be said, you have an incredible variety of tones, especially if you're a tweaker. And that's part of the value of this unit is not only does it do crazy stuff, but it also can have you have a wide range of preamp responses for different microphones. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start trying to make this thing go crazy. I'm going to start adding some distortion and walking you through kind of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. So obviously I'm not turning the phantom power off because I'm using a phantom power microphone. And I'm going to roll the trim down a little bit because this will get hairy pretty quick. And I'm going to give a top boost. So check, 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 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Very, very present. Check, check, check. Let's roll off the lows here, and let's add some distortion. Check, check, check. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Put the bellows back in. You can hear a very distorted sound. Check, 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 check. And as you roll off the lows will distort faster than anything else. That's why that's happening. Check, 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 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 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 1. Test 1, 2. Let's go for raging distortion. You may not be able to understand a word I'm saying in a second here. Check, 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 check. 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, 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 1, 2. Test 1, 2. I'm gonna roll off the highs. So check, 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 check. Oops, that was transformed. Check, 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 1, 2. Put a high boost. Check, check, 1, 2. Check. And full distortion. Probably a little feedback from my ears. Check, check, check. And there's your transformer. Check, 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 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Check, 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 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Ooh, man, this thing's touchy. Check, 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 1, 2. Test. And now we're going to go back to normal here. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 1, 2. And now we have a preamp again. Test 1, 2. All right. So that's the basics of this unit. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to grab a guitar and I'm going to do some strumming, just some basic stuff. So you can hear what, when I have a telly laying over here. So you can hear kind of what a telly sounds like as you start to overdrive a little bit. It can act as a great distortion pedal in front of an amp since you have the unbalanced output. Just make sure not to overdrive all of your pedals, but your trim knob can handle that. And then I'm going to grab a bass guitar and I'm going to do some plucking on it and again do some overdrive so you can kind of see what some of the sounds are that are available to you. After that, I'll run some basic kind of drum tracks, just some gross sounding drum tracks to see if we can liven them up a bit and make them go nuts. And then also some keyboard playing on some basic patches of a Roland and just see what we can do to them. And hopefully that'll walk us through the end of the demo. And yeah, hopefully that'll answer all your questions.